Hello and welcome to this review discussion for Ghost of Yotei, the latest Sucker Punch PlayStation exclusive. I'm Jordan Midler from VGC, joined by Hamish Black of Writing on Games. Hamish, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I am quite tired from playing a lot of this video game. It's a very long.
It is a very long game. Well, that is perhaps, if we're going to do like a most shocking moment, is the fact that when I finished it up eventually and hit credits, I look at my time played, and I've not done an overwhelming amount of the side stuff. I've by no means cleared the map. I'm sitting at like 50 hours on the PS5.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of that time's accurately tracked, but it's a hell of a long one. Give me your overall thoughts on Yotei, and maybe a little bit of where you're coming from on Tsushima, because that was a game that was kind of love it or hate it. I feel like it got a much better public reception than it did critically.
Yeah. So in terms of Tsushima, it was a game that I'd heard a lot of good things about, and I was interested in the setting, and all that kind of stuff. And then I bought it and I played it and I kind of bounced off of it. I went back to they released the kind of PS5 version, and I went back to that for a video on the DualSense, and I found myself getting into it a little bit more, but I found it to be a fairly standard open world, kind of in the Assassin's Creed mold kind of thing. And so going into Yotei, my expectations were not super high. I to be honest, I didn't ask for code for this. I just kind of got sent it. I guess like Sony this is their big game.
They love you. They love you. You always love Sony first party exclusive.
Yeah. I'm big into my old cinematic walk and talk platformers. No, that's not what this is. But I will say that this game starts out really strong especially compared to the first one. There's very little I can say that is wrong with this game. Like, it's just one of those games. You know what I mean? It is an open world video game. It's a Ghost game. I
think we'll get into it a little bit when we talk about their changes, what they said would change and how that's actually reflected.
Sure.
But for me, people need to remember that Ghost of Tsushima came out on the 17th of July 2020, so kind of in the middle of the biggest DOS period of all time. Like, people just had unlimited time to do things. So that was a game that I platinumed before it came out, because I just had infinite amount of time to do nothing. And in that sense, I always thought that it was a good one of those. It was a very pretty one of those, but it never broke out of that for me. I didn't think Jin was a particularly interesting character. I was more into like I thought the combat was fun in the sense that it was it's almost beat for beat the Jedi Survivor combat. Like it is when that's done tight, it can kind of facilitate a lot of fun moments. Maybe not the most technically interesting from a combat perspective, but I thought that was fine. And so when they started talking about this, and they really kind of emphasized the idea that, look, we know that there was 1,000 foxes to find in the last game, and there was all these different collectibles, and we're really paring that back. I thought, first of all, are they going to do that? And I think from a raw numbers perspective, they have done that. There is less of that stuff. You're not just crashing into it over and over again. They've not exactly, I think maybe the main issue people might come across is they've not exactly pound for pound replaced that with authored content or tons of authored side. There is more authored side stuff, but it's not tons. They have really kind of focused in making the main quest much longer. So the structure is, you're Atsu, your family's killed by this gang called the Yotei 6. You're going after them. It opens up the map fairly early and goes, okay, there's 3 of them here. You can go and pursue these 3 lines of clues. And what the game doesn't tell you is that's essentially opening you up to like a whole new region. Like, that line will take over that whole region for a little while. And that is kind of the thrust. That's also tied to how you get your melee weapons. Like, you go up to the north and it's like, okay, he's the Kusarigama guy. He ties into the The what's the name of the fox one? Is it the It's not the Fennekin.
Kitsune.
The Kitsune. Yeah. He's tied into that, which led to a funny moment where I did the Kitsune before I got the Kusarigama. So I was like, how can I not beat any of these guys that have shields? They're so powerful. Whereas the entire time, like practically side characters are going, there's a master up in the north that you should really go and see. He'll teach you about that. So that's the base structure, and then it kind of goes from there. From that, solely focusing on the main story, the main kind of campaign. How did you find it? Because I thought I think each section in that game is maybe like 1 or 2 missions too long, and it would be much better if you just like pruned it out even slightly. There's probably like 10 to 15 hours this game you could just lose.
Yeah, I mean, so that is maybe my biggest issue with the game. Like, Atsu, I think, is a great character. Mm-hmm. Like, I think she is more interesting than Jin in basically every way. And I think the open world structure, like the kind of, when I say open world structure, I mean kind of that kind of Assassin's Creed style, like, the kind of game I mean when I'm saying this, like, in terms of like that structure of game kind of wastes Atsu a little bit. I think like I say, my biggest disappointment is that it starts off really strong, and it starts off like very like there's an expediency to the start of this game that's like really kind of like, it's like, this is a game that very much like goes like it's naming its cinema, it's wearing its cinematic influences on its sleeve, or it's saying what they are. Whether it actually capitalizes on them is another story entirely. But it's like, it opens up and it's just like, right, Atsu has had this horrendous thing happen to her. She's witnessed, it's not spoilers to say that, this is literally the start of the game. It's like her family is massacred. Like it's you don't even get like the setup for it. It's just, this happened. Atsu's left for dead. These are the 6 people responsible. They're called the Yotei 6. There's a list of them. I know you hate movies, but it's like, it's doing the Kill Bill or the Lady Snowblood thing, where there's like, there's a list of people that are to be got. And I was kind of, and then your tutorial is just name one off the list. Yeah. And that's like,
I thought that was so exciting, because I thought that was going to carry on throughout the whole thing. I was like, they're not going to, this is a problem with games. They're not going to be bold enough to like not teach you how to play the game, which is unfortunate, because it feels like there should be a way to be like, I've played a lot of Tsushima, I can get on with this. But it feels like all of that pace and that expediency, and like when you first go to Atsu's home and you're riding around there's like one town, and I'm like, oh, is the trick they've done here, the worlds are actually huge, but there's intentionally kind of a sparse amount of thing, maybe like a Shadow of the Colossus-esque, like these long treks are meant to be more thematic than they are reasons to put stuff everywhere. And it does hit on that stuff sometimes, but there's some moments later where it sacrifices what could be a really interesting reflective moment and just replaces it with a time skip. Like, there is something you can climb that is replaced with a time skip, and I thought that was like a strange choice. And then as the game goes on, you do this really fast thing, you feel like you're at it, and then there's like not a dead stop, but it feels like there is oceans of time between that really fast start and then knocking off the first 3 and then getting to knocking off the first 2 and then getting to the last 3. And this isn't spoilers, but this game so often does we've got him, he's right here, oh, he just got away, like over and over again, to the point where I was like, well, I don't actually believe that this is the final mission, because I assume that there's going to be he got away.
Like literally for like, the structure is you go to the master, you do the mission that's associated with their particular person, and then you do another mission where it's like you're like, oh, holy, like we're getting to the guy, the guy on the list. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, something happened and the guy overpowers you or whatever. And then it's, right, we've got to do like 2 or 3 more missions to actually get to the jewel. Yeah. And it's, and I guess like the speaking to like the kind of the expediency point, I guess it also, the intro kind of felt like it was going in a slightly more like organic direction that the game, it felt a little to me like it was going in that direction of something like Shadow of Mordor.
Yep.
Not necessarily in terms of like the hierarchy where you're like working your way up, but just in terms of like you get the idea that these people are out there on this map, and you could come like, you know, like, I don't know if like I'm maybe spoiled by games like Breath of the Wild or whatever, where, you know, you just go and
bad games like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. 7 out of 10 games like Breath of the Wild. But like, you know, I guess the rigidity with which the Yotei 6 is treated, where it's like you go to this spot, like you have the choice, like you say, you can choose to go and do the set of missions, for that person, but like it's not like, oh, you're having to like cleverly think around things. It's just going to take you longer to break down the enemy's armor because you don't have the right weapon to deal with them.
Yeah, it's not like the modern Assassin's Creed where they spit out like a tapestry full of people that just exist in the world that you could go and knock down. And I don't know if this was me misinterpreting how it was discussed beforehand, but I thought it would be more kind of emergent in that style of, I could go and do it, but I would be slaughtered immediately, and there's reasons. Like, obviously, in doing that, you would sacrifice a lot of the narrative stuff, which I do think is really strong. Like, I think Eric Ishii's performance is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of really strong side characters. The Kitsune area of the map and that story generally, I think, is probably the best one, and it's like the second thing you do. But yeah, I did. Almost the bounties in the game replaced that, because there is a bounty system where you can just pick up random people, and you can just come across a random guy with a mask, and someone will say, "Oh, that's Two Guns Tony," and then you go back to the bounty hunter, and he goes, "Oh, you got Two Guns Tony? I never even gave you that one."
That's Sammy the Samurai. Yes.
Exactly. So it has that kind of stuff in it, but the Yotei 6 are much more traditional. Like, just because there is an option of which order you do, like 2 or 3 of them, it is linear outside of that, because otherwise things get messed up. Like, so when you're fighting enemy bases, some of the NPCs will go, "I heard you killed the Kitsune, I heard you killed this and that," and obviously they have to make it, you can't get to some point and have not done something, and then characters refer to it as having already been done. So that's like, it's kind of nitpicky, but it speaks to...
Sure, I get what you mean.
It speaks to the way that it's segmented.
Yeah, I guess, like, you know, it feels like the game is trying to go in all these different directions, like away from the kind of the rigidity of that first game, I guess. I don't know if rigidity is the right word to describe Tsushima, but it feels like it's trying to carve its own path. And so often, like you say, the bounties, I like, my first, like, 10 hours or so were just doing the bounties, because they were like really good fun. They were like, it kind of felt like they kind of brought life to this world, it felt like, because they were just small little things, and you'd bump into people like on your travels. Like, you'd come across just like a Ronin in the middle of nowhere who would just be like, who would see, you know, who's looking at like the bounty that's on your head, and would be like, "Oh, you're that person," and it would be this kind of, it would be set up as this kind of like cinematic duel. But like, and at the end of it, one person's dead, the other person goes on their way. It's that is the stuff that is actually tapping into like what like old samurai cinema, for example, is kind of like, you know, and that was like really cool to me. The problem is that as you go through the Yotei 6 and your legend grows and the bounties become more like urgent in like, we need to take Atsu out, you know, like the ghost is killing everyone, you know, she's a coward and she must be, you know, like the threats that they introduce to the open world, in terms of like, when you take out one guy, they'll introduce like guys that ambush you in the open world,
or there's like dogs that are more reactive to you and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the problem is, by the time you get to that stuff, you've got so many fast travel points that it's like that you're basically never in the open world anyway. Like,
incredible fast travel, by the way. Some of the fastest fast travel you'll ever see. Like, unbelievable stuff.
It's Spider-Man levels.
I get exactly what you mean. Like, it feels like there needed more points where the game was like, no, it's too dangerous for you to, because the in-universe conceit is what you are skipping is you riding your horse. Like, it needed moments where it's like, well, you can't ride your horse across the map. It's way too dangerous. You can only go from here to here, and it'll take you time or whatever. Like I was reminded, while playing it, you know how like in Red Dead 2, like big massive open world, it's got this emergent stuff, it's got stuff, but it's not really got bits and pieces around the map that are like, it's not got like a bamboo strike equivalent or like a bath equivalent or stuff like that. Like Rockstar games are quite happy to have huge open worlds with like nothing in them, but that's kind of the point. Like it becomes much less kind of handholdy that way. And at the start I was like, is this what they're going for? And there is like a Red Dead or Rockstar-ish nature to like the length of the single player portion and the kind of the turning away from, like, frankly, I'm shocked that the game even has like a skill tree and things like that. Like it feels like it's got its foot stuck in two different worlds, where it's like it has some of this PS4 era open world stuff and some of like the post open world. Oh, we get it. We make Assassin's Creed Tower jokes, like that kind of post era.
Yeah.
So it feels stuck in between the two, and I think it's at its strongest when it's abandoning that stuff altogether. Like,
well, yeah,
it didn't need to be a linear game per se, because I do think the world is beautiful and I do like this. There's like a really good side story where you're going after like the greatest duelist of all time, and that's like a cool story that like takes you all across the map. But I do feel that for all the talk of abandoning the open world stuff that people don't really like anymore, or critics don't really like anymore, because there's a lot of people who just play games casually that still really like all this stuff, and I feel like that's kind of washed away in a lot of the discussion about these games. But they don't go the whole hog from taking away all of that stuff, whereas so in your homestead there's a bamboo strike, and I thought that was maybe going to be the only one in the game, as a joke about like, oh yeah there's so many in Tsushima, we only have this one here, but they're just pared right back. So yeah, like, it's weird. I don't know if I just picture the game being different in my mind. I really like the game that is there, but there's flashes of a different version of this game that I think could be more exciting, kind of tighter. The pacing's my biggest issue, because when you add the really long single player stuff to the slight change, the slight retro open world stuff versus the modern open world stuff, I think it kind of rubs against each other too much. It's a bit awkward. The other thing is, I don't think that the combat doesn't take a back seat per se, but it doesn't seem massively evolutionary. I know they put a lot of focus on the different weapons, and it's very like, this weapon is good against this person, this weapon is good against that person. But at the end of the day, I just want to be 1v1 with a katana. That's when I'm at my happiest. Like when I'm timing parries with a katana. Yeah. How did you get on with that side of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, you know, they made a big deal about like the weapons and stuff, but like, they just replaced the stances. Like it's still just this weapon's good again. Like there's no like real kind of emergent things that come up against that. It's like every single person explains to you, if you're using the katana, if your enemy's using the katana, use the katana. Yeah. What weapon do you use against the katana? But then you know, if your enemy's got a shield, use the kusarigama and all that kind of stuff. And to me, I was just like, right, it just adds animations to the stances from the first game, you know, I like you say, like when you're, as much as they overdo the Yojimbo thing or the Sanjuro thing, like where, you know, it's like the kind of standoff, like,
still hits.
It's still really fun. And when you get those upgrades that are like, add another one and another one, you know, you DJ Khaled it, and it feels really good. So I'm aware that like I'm talking quite negatively about this game so far. Like I did not like hate this game by any stretch of the imagination. I think I guess my point is that like if you're wanting more Tsushima, then you will get you're getting another Ghost game. It's just with like slightly different things jigged around and stuff. I guess like the way it was kind of talked about, I kind of had in my head that some things might be like slightly different, but I don't know. It's like combat was largely fine. Like there are aspects to it that elevate it slightly, but it's
I think it works best in boss fights, honestly. Like when you're fighting against someone that has like a nice big health bar that could do a lot of damage to you, and you're having to really nail the parries and the riposte and stuff. Like I think that stuff works great against normal enemies. Like it's a very easy game. Like, and not only that, they give you one superpower that like makes you start screaming and like knocking down enemies and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, like that's fine. There's a little bit of like magical realist stuff in here. That's all good. I thought that the weapon stuff was interesting, but my favorite method of combat is there are random weaponry on the ground or all over campsites, and you can pick them up and just throw them at people, and it's an instant kill. Never stops being fun. Never. And also you can disarm your enemies, pick up their sword and throw it through their heart. It's like, that's good. Okay.
That's the stuff where it's like I guess like that's my thing with this. Like, you were mentioning earlier the stuff about like the skill tree and everything, and how kind of that almost felt a little bit out of place. Like, Atsu's like really good at this stuff. I mean, not like Jin was obviously like well trained and everything, but like Jin's kind of whole arc, I guess, was that he had to kind of get over his inability to kind of fight with honor and kind of become the ghost.
He was a nerd. Stuff. He was a total nerd.
Exactly.
A total jabroni. Whereas when you start this game, Atsu's already the ghost. Like, you're straight in there.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so like things like that where it's like, right, you are picking up enemies' weapons and just chucking them about the battlefield. Great. It's brilliant. And like there's upgrades that like make that stuff do more damage, but like I never really noticed, like almost every single time it was just an instant kill.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know. But like, yeah, stuff like that is like, that's where like, the kind of, I don't know if you call it like emergent, but it's like, that's where like you get a degree of expression when you do that stuff alongside your kind of your gadgets and everything, like smoke bombs. It's like I would be like throwing stuff around and then throwing a smoke bomb down, and then because the enemies are so dumb in this game, like they would just immediately go to the like, oh, assassinate them because they have no idea where you are, and you get the upgrade that lets you assassinate like 3 at a time. So
it's like you're in the middle of a bright, beautiful field, like the smoke is barely ankle height, and the enemies are well, she's gone. She's disappeared.
It's like like when you're going through the camps in this game, like you can have people like blowing the alarm, like things are going crazy, like there's 10 guards that you've just wiped out, and then around the corner there's like guys just sitting at a campfire because they apparently didn't hear anything that was going on. It's like that kind of happens constantly.
It's the thing with the old, like, you can do the chain assassinations, and in Assassin's Creed it makes sense because you're severing the jugular of 2 people at once, so they're really in trouble. In this, you just assassinate one guy, and then his mate stands and watches you while you then do it to him. Whereas he could be going, it's everybody else that's here. It's the ghost, by the way. We can probably do something about this. That's just like open. That's like stealth system daftness.
Totally.
But I'm gonna go past the nitpicky stuff into stuff that I really loved. Music and visuals. Presentation in this game's absolute top drawer. The music is fantastic. It's a really nice central theme. You play the shamisen a lot through the game. It's not like The Last of Us where it's like an actual mini game. It's more like you touch the touchpad to find the note and then it plays it for you. When it started, I was like, are they going to do the Last of Us thing where you can like have all the strings and stuff? But I thought that was a really nice through line. It's even better if you kind of seek out there's more shamisen stuff and more stuff with your family, kind of on side tracks and stuff like that. I thought that was really great. Anyone who's seen Tsushima and how mental that game looks will not be surprised to hear that this game also looks mental. Like, it is just graphics to the game. And let me tell you, on the PlayStation 5 Professional, which is now about $3,500 retail, per the last time Sony updated the price, they've got a PS5 Pro mode that's like, it aims for 4K 60, and it's the most mental thing I've ever seen on a console. How does it work like this? Like, how can you do this and other games can't? Like, that stuff is so good it's almost not worth talking about because it's just like it's par excellence. Like,
I mean, it's like the big Sony games like this are going to look incredible. And I played on so I just have a base PS5. I'm, like I don't have VGC money, right?
Well, neither do we.
But like so, and I played on, because I like my frame rate, so I played on performance mode, and it still looked great. It's still like I think a lot of it, like even just the fact it's colorful, like it's like a lot of like very like bold primary colors and that kind of stuff, and that that ends up like with Tsushima, that goes a long way to kind of, which, right, I'm bringing it back to nitpicky. I hate the Kurosawa mode. I think the Kurosawa.
I never use it. Yeah.
It's like I don't. I've got.
First of all, who's Kurosawa?
A little known guy called Akira Kurosawa.
He the boy that did Star Wars.
Yes, exactly, yeah. It took a lot of influence from Spielberg and all that. But like, like this is the mode where they say it's like adds an immersive black and white mode and like film grain. And
is it anything other than that? Is it anything other than black and white?
So I looked into this. Apparently they used like some of the same kind of like the curves in terms of like contrast and stuff.
All right, okay.
Like Akira Kurosawa used, or like it's like slightly higher contrast than just applying a black and white filter, but it's not much more than that. Yeah. And they say or at least that's how the experience of it does. Like, this is a game where color plays into the gameplay. It's like, you need to know whether it's a dodge thing or a parry,
There is literally a side quest that I was doing last night that the entire premise is a certain color of flower like leads you down a certain path, and it did make me think, like, how would you possibly I'm sure it's pointed out in a different way, like, but yeah, I understand that. Like, I'm glad they do that kind of stuff, and I'm glad that they are so, like, they don't feel like tourists in like Japanese media. Like, Jason Connell and Nate Fox really take this shit seriously, and the best like affirmation of that is that the island of Tsushima made them like tourism ambassadors. Like, they were so happy with the way they were portrayed. It seems like they've taken that to heart, like the way they've portrayed like the native people and that stuff. All that stuff's good, but that again is playing up against what this game is like. It's like a best of samurai movie kind of thing, that in the same way that GTA is like a pastiche of every like Scorsese film at some point. Like, it feels to me that the Kurosawa mode is like that would be cool, but it's like
I mean, like, but the thing, like, so the thing is, like, they have in this one they have the Mikey Takashi mode, and they have the Shinichiro Watanabe mode, which like Mikey Takashi, like, I guess it's like the Kurosawa they're drawing from is very limited. Because Kurosawa used color like no one else, like, and like the Takashi Miike stuff, it's like you're looking at 13 assassins. Like, Mikey Takashi has like, I get, but like the Shinichiro Watanabe mode, he made like Samurai Champloo. Like, I just turned that on because I like the music. It's not Samurai Champloo. Like, this is not that kind of game. Like, it's not like wacky kind of over the top like action. Like, it's very, it's just like it's them. I get it's them kind of just saying like, we like this stuff, and here's some kind of like, but I don't know. It just like it kind of speaks to this wider thing I have, where it's like the stuff they introduce in this game, like camps were made like a big, or camping as a thing was made like a big deal of, or whatever, and that's just you lay your stuff down, you select the perk you want, and then you go on your merry way.
It feels like that should have been like, there is a map, there's a cartographer at like all these different bases, and he just sells you maps and you fill them in on the like, it feels like it would have been cool if he had one or two, but it went, if you want all of them, you're really going to need to camp, and you're going to need to do this extra stuff. Like, they made a mini game where you light a fire. Like, they created this thing that it seems that it's nice that it's there, but you could avoid it entirely. Like, there's Ronin out in the world that if you speak to, will go, oh, I'm not really up for fighting. If you want to rest, he'll point in a direction, and there'll be a hot springs and stuff like that. But again, you can access that stuff via the cartographer. So again,
yeah,
old school open world design versus more kind of emergent, immersive stuff. That's kind of where it like sticks for me. That's
there's
why
a
I'm
clash.
kind of
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, you are obviously like, you know, I get, you know, like I'm a guy, I hate video games.
Yep.
You know, I'm
Me too, brother.
yeah, exactly. You know, like what we're doing here, like, but like you are like, you are presumably like I say, I there's nothing that I like hate about this game. Like you know, I joked about the Kurosawa mode. I don't like hate that. Like it's like I just see it as like kind of the most basically fine video game ever made. Like you seem to be like more positive on it
I'm
than
hot
me in that regard.
Yeah,
like,
I'm hot on it. I'm not blown away by the whole package. Like there's certain elements of it that I think are like masterfully done, RE visuals and performance. But as someone who didn't think like the like, there's always obviously the joke about how much I love Sony games, etc. But if you think that's the case, read my bloody Days Gone review. But I always thought that first one was like fine and almost at like the glass ceiling of what these games can be. And in some ways, I don't think this like terribly escapes it. The most trite thing in the world is to compare an open world game from this kind of era to Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2. I don't think this is this, mainly because I think the original game was better than Assassin's Creed 1 was in comparison to 2, and this is not as big a leap as 1 to 2 from Assassin's Creed. So it's like it's a very solid sequel. I had a lot of fun playing it. I think anyone who really likes Tsushima will really like this. It's like there's like no departure whatsoever in that regard. Maybe unless you're like super into fox hunting, but like even then they appear at some point, which again I thought was going to be a joke. Like when the fox popped up, I thought it was going to be some kind of joke. But overall, I'm positive on it. And if you want to hear more from me, you can check out my review on VGC. Where can people find things from you, Hamish?
You can. I will have, by the time you're seeing this, I will maybe have a video out about a review of Yotei, and that will be at youtube.com/writingongames and patreon.com/writingongames. Yeah, and I'll be posting my thoughts on Blue Sky, on Writing on Games, or
on Rumble, where the real freedom fighters live. If you're a fellow freedom fighter, check out patreon.com/video games chronicle. Thank you very much, Hamish. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next time.